the table.
Right.
No. All right. Hey guys, Marcel Leblanc here, and we're here to do another episode of Finance with Friends. Today I have with me Natalie Davison, which is marketing guru is kind of a word that comes to mind. But no, I've attended many of her workshops in recent months. She's helped me tremendously with whether it be creativity or do's and don'ts, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. I've learned tons from her, and I figured you guys could too. So yeah, I had written this pretty decent description of what it is you do, and then I come to find out that it all changed. So I'll leave it up to you to explain to everybody what it is you're up to now, and a little bit of what you do.
Thank you so much. So I'm a marketing consultant, and basically it's kind of a hard thing to explain, but I like to say that I help people really get to the heart of who they are, why they're in business, and then strategically tell that story, whether it's on social or across various mediums, but really getting kind of to the root of why you do what you do.
Like an identity of sorts?
An identity, and really to lead with your values. So I talk a lot about nailing down your unique value proposition and understanding what value you bring to the world in your business, what makes you different than your competitors, and then literally leading with that in everything, whether it's in your branding, in your voice, in your tone, in the activities that you do, in the events you attend. So taking that values-based approach and instilling that in every part of your brand experience and all your touch
So basically helping me not only find what leads my business decisions, my values, etc., but to learn how to share it.
And then making sure you're intentional about it, right?
Okay.
So I met a really cool startup yesterday. I met them at the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge recently.
Oh yeah,
Their business is called Afro, APHRO. They're a brand new startup, and there's 3 founders, and there's 2 female founders that are both, they're all newcomers, 1 male founder, 2 female founders, and they're Black women, and they're producing hair products for the Black community, and these are their traditional family recipes from Africa and Haiti, and they're using ingredients that their grandparents used. They're very natural products, so really, really cool concept. They're gonna do a subscription box. Love the whole idea, but when I sat down with them yesterday, they wanted branding advice, and this happens to me all the time. People are like, "Oh, what color should my logo be?" And I'm like, "Wait, why are you doing this in the first place?" And so we start really uncovering what the why is, and so they have a really neat product, a really neat story, but then they were telling me how important it is for them to actually send 10% of their profit back to Haiti to start investing in building schools so girls can go to school.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that completely changed the course of the advice I would have given them and how they should be communicating, what should be on their Instagram, what stories they should be telling.
Yeah.
So that's
it changes the story, like U-turn.
Right, because that story that they're telling, women all over the world can connect to, no matter where they live. And so all of a sudden, they open their market in such a broader way. They're not just the story of, two Black women that want hair products available in Atlantic Canada. All of a sudden, they've opened themselves to a global market because they've appealed to that very personal
connections
why.
Way further.
Exactly.
And with the right, I agree. And the name is pretty awesome.
It's awesome, right?
First day I was like, wow.
I know.
That's cool.
They're so cool. I'm just so pumped to watch their star rise.
Yeah, I did a bit of mentoring the Friday morning of the Youth Entrepreneurship after the gala.
Yes.
And I met a bunch of super, super inspirational young entrepreneurs. Like high school young. It was incredible. It was a great experience.
Very, very cool. Plug for the Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge, but I highly recommend, if you have never participated, to go next year to the banquet. It was so cool.
I volunteered to help out leading, and I'll be at the banquet 100%. I had to miss it this year, but
such a great experience.
Quickly, we're at the Venn Center again today, so thank you very much to Venn for everything you do and for lending us the room here downtown. Let's get into it. So, Natalie, where does your passion for creativity come from?
So I'm very fortunate in that my mother always noticed my creativity and pointed it out to me.
Okay.
And so that's
a reminder?
Like, no, just really like if I was drawing a picture, my mother would say, wow, you're really creative. Like, creativity was something that would be celebrated in our relationship.
Okay.
And so if I wrote a story, again, creativity was a word my mother used a lot, and it was a descriptor she used about me, and so she really started to build that in my identity as something to be proud of, which is very interesting because sometimes families can go the other way on that and make that something that's not really important. So I was very, very fortunate that was important to my mom. My whole family are very, very creative people, but I was very fortunate that my mother at a very young age really instilled that as something I should be proud of. So I think that that really kind of led my path in terms of like valuing that about myself and seeking to improve that. So saying, hey, this is an important thing about me. So how can I get better at it? How can I become more creative? You know, where can I go with that?
It became a challenge.
Yeah, something that I wanted to develop.
Like a skill, something to.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So where do you find your inspiration these days, or where have you been, in the past?
So, I don't know. So I talk about my nat leave. I took a year off of like my life 2 years ago. I took a whole year off. I didn't work. I just engaged with my kids, and I really kind of broke down, what do I want? Who do I want to do it with? And what's my vision? And really get in touch with the fact that like, so many of us are disconnected from our purpose. I want to spend this time just really going deep with my purpose. And so
we're still talking about that the nat leave.
The nat leave, yeah. So on this nat leave, and I had nobody tells you how to kind of find your path. It's it's a weird thing when
very personal.
Yeah, and you don't know how to do it. And so my husband and I have always renovated and fixed up and sold sometimes homes. That's just a personal side passion of ours. And so we have this crazy old house downtown, and when we bought this place, it was really, really crazy, and we've been fixing it up for years. And so I had this like one room that's now my office that we didn't even go in. Like it was a disaster. It was basically storage.
It was like a keep the door closed kind of room.
Keep the door closed, storage, because we're 7 layers of wallpaper. My house is 100 years old, and this room had originally been wallpaper, so it's 7 layers of wallpaper in this room. And so I was on this little nat leave, kind of, what am I going to do, what I want to do, how do I live my best, most authentic life, and one day I was like, well, I better do something, right? I got to do something with my time. And so I thought, well, I'll fix that room up. And so what happened was, this is such a long story. I go into the room and I start with the wallpaper, and I start scraping the wallpaper. So I'm, scraping the wallpaper, 7 layers. It took me 3 weeks really to get the walls done. So I mean, once I got the paper off, then we had to repair the walls.
Right.
I had to learn how to fix a big hole, like a huge hole in the wall. This room was a disaster. So I really took my skills to the next level. But while I was doing it so that I could make it through, I had to fill the noise.
Right.
And so I uncovered my first podcast that I listened to, which was Magic Lessons by Liz Gilbert. It's a podcast about living creatively without fear. Okay. And so I just kind of listened to this in the background, and she was interviewing people who had a creative block in their life, which I didn't realize was exactly what I was going through.
Okay.
And so
makes sense.
Right. And so she would interview people who were like, I've always wanted to be a writer, but I'm scared to write, or I used to be a painter, but I can't paint now, or I have a dream of being a figure skater, and I used to be a figure skater, but I'm 57. Who can be a 57-year-old figure skater? And then she would almost bring them through like a therapy of sorts, give them exercises, and get them to the place where they were living that way. So I listened to these kind of 12 episodes, which are personal stories of people going through this, and really kind of connected with that. And then when that finished, I thought, oh God, what next? So then I downloaded the audiobook that corresponded, which is Big Magic. So if you want, it's called Creative Living Without Fear. there has been no more impactful book in my life than that. If you want to live creatively, you want to live bigger, everybody needs to read Big Magic. Big Magic by Liz Gilbert. And
the name sounds familiar.
It's unreal. I'm about to drive to Toronto and listen to the whole book again for the third time.
Right.
It's unbelievable. It really will help you push you through those creative barriers. And so by the time I was done that book, which I listened to incredibly fast, I had realized that I needed to bust through this creative block. And so then I started to really fill myself with, podcasts, books, taking in art.
Yeah.
I've really, really gotten into taking in other people's art this past year. Just trying to find other like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get
networking, like networks, webs of people like-minded.
My most inspirational moments in the past year have come from my very good friend Chris Fries, who's an artist, and I mean he is just exceptionally talented, and people like Chris who are living in a very brave, creative way, who are making things and contributing to make the world a more beautiful place.
Okay.
And that we always hear you're the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yep.
And really, I mean, that creativity doesn't change that. Like, if you want to be more creative, be around more creative people.
True.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, the one question about money. What's the most creative thing you've done to improve your finances?
So I thought about this one a lot.
I figured it's not an easy question to answer.
As I told you, I'm averse to the word finance. And
a lot of people are.
Yeah, and I start to shake a little bit when we start talking about money. So I thought about this one because you were kind enough to give me the question last night.
A whole 10 hours.
A whole 10 hours before. So in the shower this morning, I thought, what is the most creative thing I've ever done with my finances? And I mean, we've got... my husband and I were laughing about it this morning because he lives and works in Toronto, right? So
yeah, exactly.
That's fairly creative.
Yeah.
I'm in Moncton.
Making that work, I'm sure is
But we both came back to very early in our careers, like immediately out of school.
Yeah.
We started buying houses, fixing them up and moving. We lived in Toronto, where you can pick up an insane amount of equity very fast.
Yeah.
And so our first few years out of school, I had a big student loan. We were able to make essentially a third salary. So the 2 kind of entry-level salaries we were making, every year we would make about that same amount in an equity pickup by throwing some paint, and some tasteful decor on a house and moving. Yeah. So we did that early on, and that was really, really important to us. And I would say even now, our some of our best financial decisions have come from how we handle real estate. So when I talk about our crazy house that we bought, I mean, nobody was going to buy this house. It looked, when my aunt drove by, she said she thought we were moving into the Munsters house. Like the roof was almost falling
like the
in.
Addams Family
Exactly.
Type of look.
It took vision, and it was a brave choice, and we definitely had to have a lot of faith in our own abilities, but we knew that if we bought well enough, we could get a good equity pickup on the home, and that's what's happened. But it's taken a lot of work. But I would say that's really how we're wired when we talk about our finances. The best choices have all really been around real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So strategic implementation of certain.
And we know that we have the skills to turn that into something valuable. So that's really like, if you want to take it out of real estate and translate it to something else. We always say here in Moncton, because the markets couldn't be more different in Moncton and Toronto.
Yeah, totally.
But here in Moncton, we always tell, and we have people all the time that are like, "Oh, I want to flip houses," and I'm like, "Well, Moncton's not the same market as Toronto flipping houses."
Yeah, your exposure is totally different.
Night and day. So my best advice for people, and it can go into any investment really. Here in Moncton, when people say they want to flip a house, I say, well, you need to make your money on your purchase. You need to understand that. You're not going to make your money. Like in Toronto, you put the right product out there, people might make an emotional decision and get into a bidding war.
Yeah.
That's all in the end.
Yeah.
Here you make your money on your purchase. You have to buy as low as you can.
The momentum is totally different there. Like there you're investing on momentum, here you're investing on value.
Yes.
If you bring it into the stock, here you want to pick up near the low, and there you want to get out before the high.
That's why you work in finance.
Yeah.
You just explained that really well.
Yeah,
that's exactly
right.
it.
But momentum versus value, totally. That's interesting. Cool.
All right. So, what are the benefits to Joe Average of being creative or working on creativity?
Yeah. I would have to say having the courage to be creative allows you to be open to so much more in life. So if you're looking at the world and trying to notice things and trying to interpret things on that level, and you're paying attention to what's going on around you, you're just going to all of a sudden see so much more opportunity.
True.
And so I really think that opening yourself up to creativity and to trying to interpret the world in a way that just requires you to pay more attention is really, really important. And I mean, creativity comes from create, right? The idea is you're making things, you're building things. And so that's what that is, whether it's intellectually, writing a talk, writing blog posts, actual, painting. I mean, whatever that is, it comes from making things. It requires a lot of bravery.
Yeah.
But once you can really work that into your life, I mean, you just show up with so much more presence every day.
Like Seth Godin would say, ship.
Yeah.
Just gotta ship. Whether you're shipping openly or to yourself or to your spouse or to whatever, just deliver.
Just do it. That's it. And so many of us spend so much time. There's so much fear and shame associated with creating. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, if you think about the traditional path, like through school, for example, you don't go tell your guidance counselor in high school that you want to be a painter. That you're not going to be received positively that way, right? So, kudos to the people that are really taking those leaps in our community, like Katie DeWera. There are so many people that are just being so brave with their dreams and their talents that are making. And when you put yourself out there and you show up in that way, you're opening yourself up to criticism and all kinds of stuff, right?
In today's world, everything's open. Everything's fair game.
It takes a lot of bravery, but once you get into that habit and you start to build your community and you understand who your people are, and that they're really the only people that get a vote, it makes life so much better.
Yeah. It's crazy. We're talking about the polarized, the safe and steady versus the creative and wild. It's funny how sometimes the creative and wild get criticized or sometimes they say, oh, they're so lucky, right?
Yeah.
They're so lucky. Oh, lucky them. They get to live the life they want. They're having so much fun. It's like, well, they took a huge risk and leap and they were okay with being judged if that was the case.
That's right.
And nobody thinks that, nobody. A lot of people never think to say, well, geez, I never did that. I don't have the courage to do that.
I don't have the courage.
So,
I honestly fundamentally believe that every action on this planet comes from fear or love, and that's it. And creativity is love.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
like
it's an expression.
That is what it is.
It's tapping into love.
That's what it is.
In one way, love of whatever.
Whatever, right? Yeah.
Okay. Creativity, talent or habit?
Habit for sure. We are without a doubt. People have gifts. Like I think there are some people have some gifts, and there are some gifts that I don't have. That's for sure. But creativity is about taking those things, those gifts, those things that light you on fire, that make you feel alive, and having the courage to bring them to the world, to actually do them. Let's take your time doing them, to give validity to those things inside of you.
Right.
So I really, really enjoy writing talks, bringing my thoughts to the world in a certain way, communicating in a certain way. That's creativity.
The same way.
The way I communicate is exactly. Yeah. It's creativity. The way that you're building business, you're approaching business from a very creative place. You're solving problems creatively, and so that's a habit. That's something that if the less you do it, the more scared you're going to be to do it.
Or to restart doing it, or to I agree. The more I write, post, or do these videos, have conversations, the better I get at it. And I wasn't good. I look at what I did 132 videos ago, and they were terrible. But now I've worked on them, and I've listened to people's comments, and I've navigated my way. And 4 years later, I feel like I'm delivering a little bit more value than I did back then.
And you're investing in that, right? You're investing in that. And that's when I say about who you spend your time with, and are you spending time with creative people? I mean, that's an investment. I've recently been running, and I run on Main Street, which I think people probably find weird. But I ran on Main Street, and yesterday I ran and I bumped into a junior person that I've been mentoring, and she goes, "Oh, I didn't know you're running. Are you training?" And I said, "Oh no, I do this when I get a creative block." And my friend Yves Doucette told me all about how he believes that you need to change your state and put yourself into a state of intense exercise. Essentially clears your mind so that you can create again when you stop. Yeah. And so I'm going to have I just tried it a couple weeks ago when I was trying to write this talk that I was doing. So I ran from my house, which is like at Park in St. George, and there's my address, everybody. And then I ran down to about approximately like 3 kilometers.
Yeah.
And I hadn't ran in an exceptionally long time. And so I had my phone and I put music in and I went for this run. And I started to run and it was a couple minutes in and all of a sudden I was like, I'm trying to process this talk. And I stopped and I was like, oh gosh, that's a great idea. Stop. I took a note. And then I kept running and I stopped and I took a note. And you'll see me run sometimes down Main Street. I'll stop and take notes along the way. And by the time I got home, I had 2 pages of notes and my talk completely figured out.
Wow.
And so now I don't think of exercise the way that I did. I mean, I used to say like, I want to be thinner and I want to look a certain way. But that's not it at all for me anymore. Yeah. It's more about removing the block and managing my energy so that I can put my best out in the world.
Clearing the junk out and opening the canvas to newer and better thoughts.
Yeah.
I've done that in the past. Go to the gym, clear my mind, and then you're better. Or meditate.
Yes,
read,
for other
meditate,
people, I'm sure. Whatever it is to tone down the noise, right? Because the noise is the fear. Mm-hmm. It's the stuff that's getting in your way and preventing you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stuff that doesn't matter, stuff that's in the way. Yeah. Negative.
And it'll come back, by the way. So, you don't have to worry you're going to forget it.
I agree. Give it a couple hours. It's coming back. All right. Do you have advice for people who say they aren't creative?
You are.
Yeah.
Everybody is. But start small and start to kind of, bite off those nuggets and follow your curiosity. The word passion sometimes, and I know I sound like I'm quoting this. When you go listen to Big Magic or read it after, you're gonna be like, oh, you just quoted that so much. But it was such an impactful book for me. The thing about passion is the word passion is kind of stressful. If you don't know what your passion is, and people say, what's your passion? You're like, sorry. You feel so insignificant. So I really encourage people to start thinking about curiosity. And what are you curious about? Start following those curiosities to kind of the next step and the next step. My good friend Chris said to me last night, people are so afraid of a blank canvas. And it's true. 100% true.
It's intimidating.
Exactly.
It is.
But nobody ever created anything without jumping in. And so it's really, what is that curiosity? What is that thing that you want to know more about? And start following that and don't be ashamed of that, because we all have this in us, and there's really no greater feeling than living a creative life.
Yeah, it's very rewarding. Mm-hmm. Whether you're doing it for yourself, doing it for others, doing it for money, it doesn't really matter why you're doing it, as far as motivation to do it. But I agree. I read a great book. Again, I love Seth Godin, but I read Poke the Box, which is if you put a box with a button on it in a kid's playpen, you can start pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
Put a box in front of an adult, he's afraid to push and play and switch and flicker and whatever, because we're like, oh, what's this thing? We've been conditioned, but play, have fun, try new things, explore.
Absolutely.
And I like what you said about passion. Passion, I think, is something you develop.
Yes.
Right? It's not something you just have.
Yes.
You don't wake up with passion for birds tomorrow.
No. And if you are just inherently passionate about everything, which I try to tone down in myself, because I've learned over the years that I can be irresponsible with my energy. I'm very high energy. Mm-hmm. I get really excited about a lot of things really fast, and I can be very irresponsible with my energy.
Reckless or whatever.
Well, I just I emotionally invest really early, and I get really excited about things, and I'm not saying, I'm not trying to instill fear here, but I mean, like starting with curiosity and managing that and ensuring that it's something that, letting that grow, like letting that relationship grow is amazing. It's like your relationship with curiosity is not so different than, or with creativity, it's not so different than any other relationship. It should be something that you build organically and that you develop rather than just kind of going all in and then burning out.
That's what I tell a lot of, surprising, it's what I coach a lot of people with money. I'm like, it's about your habits, and your habits over years will develop into positive, and then the skill tips.
Yes.
You don't just pay your debt tomorrow.
Yes.
You work and chip away into the habits, and creativity I've found works the same way. You start writing little blogs and then longer blogs, and then all of a sudden you're writing a website, and then all of a sudden you're and you write and you rewrite and you scrap and you start again, and
And one of the things about our world right now, I mean, I study a lot about how we consume information, particularly with social media. There's so much information coming at us so fast that we have less time and space to actually think about our choices and make decisions. So we're relying more heavily on our habits than ever. And our habits are worse than ever. So habits are really in the driver's seat more than ever, and it's only going to get worse as technology progresses. So we are creatively solving problems as a society to try and remove like decision making from people. But at the same time, that means we need to really get intentional about our habits, about planning kind of advance how things are going to unfold, because otherwise we'll default into the wrong things.
There's a great book about that called The Power of Habit. I think it's Charles Duhigg. It's a great book, Power of Habit.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Natalie.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, you can post on the comment section below. You can message myself or Natalie if you have her on Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, whatever. And we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. So thanks again.
One plug?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So awesome. So on July 18th at 9 a.m., there's going to be we're going to be doing a workshop at the Venn Center on Instagram for Business. It's absolutely free, sponsored by Venn because they're so great at giving back. And so it's going to be led by myself and bringing in Jared Goodman from, he's a social media expert himself. And so we're going to be talking about Instagram for Business. It's the workshop that we delivered previously in March that got snowed in a couple times. So if you missed it or if you're interested, please come.
I attended the first workshop and may attend the second one. And it was really good. For anybody who's curious about Instagram or wants to improve Instagram, I really recommend it. What's the date again?
July 18th.
July 18th. Cool. All right, thanks guys. Tune in next week. Cheers.
Bye.